Yes, hello everyone, and welcome to another conversation. Vijay, I hope you can hear me.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you.
This week, what we're going to do, two questions actually. Where is Chit? And second, if it's inert, when our body crumbles, what happens to the Chit? Because as spiritual seekers, we sort of understand that there's this concept of sanskaras, of vrittis. So if that is being captured in the chit, which is inert, which
Right.
crumbles with the body, then where do they go?
This is a very beautiful question. We can understand this by the fact that when the twins are born in the family, you will see that right from beginning, they will have different traits as if they have already carried forward certain liking, disliking right from the day one.
Yeah.
That means there has to be something which is carried forward. I personally believe in the concept of rebirths. I don't know whether you do or not, but yeah, I do. And the reason I do is, this reminds me of a very beautiful event that happened in Madhumati Ashram in my childhood itself.
Yeah.
There was a lady. If you allow me to share in 2 minutes.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So there was a girl. There was a girl. I still remember her name. Her name is Kalyani,
Yeah.
and she was just 7 years old. Just 7 years old, and when I now kind of recall that how she came to ashram on the very first day, that will be another story. But we'll cut that short. I just focus on the event that happened, and that was so mesmerizing. So
Yeah.
she was laughing and playing in the ashram,
Yeah.
and then I just don't remember whether it was Swamiji himself, the Sadguru himself, who called her, or there was the guy who was hosting the program. He called that girl and said, "Kalyani, now please come on the stage and share your experience."
Mm.
Imagine 7 years girl who is laughing, playing like a child, normal child, suddenly upon being called becomes very still,
Yeah.
and as if transformed into a different person,
Yeah.
walks on the stage, holds the mic, and speaks the language that a 7 years child cannot speak,
Oh my goodness.
as if she's a different person.
Yeah.
So that's a very clear evidence that there is something that is carried forward from one life to another life, including your maybe wisdom, yeah, because that's what reflected on her speech on that day. She was just 7 years old that during that. So chitta is what carries forward everything.
Mm.
Carries forward everything. Whatever has happened in your previous life is carried forward. It's just that the only, whatever you preserve in your chitta is found in different states. One of the state is called active, and there are several other states. One of that is called also dormant or inactive. There are several states. So not everything is active in our chitta, but you must have experienced that when you go into sleep and you're like half sleep, which is a state of dreaming state, then you happen to see in your dreams certain things, certain event that you're not able to relate to this current life. So where did all of a sudden those thoughts, those events came into your dream? That's where you can understand. That means there's certain thing from your previous life that also got active and started showing up in your dream at that point of time.
Mhm.
So chitta is what definitely persists from one body to another body. Now, how does it happen? As we spoke in the beginning, that the subtle body is what enters into the mother's womb, and only the gross body is formed on top of it. And the subtle body contains the four inner organs as well, including the chitta. So when the body crumbles, it is only the gross layer of the body that crumbles, not the subtle body. Subtle body as it is just comes out of one of the 9 doors in the body, one of the 9 doors. And I must tell you, there is a secret door which only yogi knows.
Yes.
So one of the 9 doors that the subtle body will come out of this crumbling gross body. And from that time, you then declare this crumbled gross body as dead.
Right. So the subtle body, is that atomic? Is that also made of, electrons, neutrons, and protons, or is it like, is the subtle body the soul? What is the subtle body?
Right. First of all, when we say atomic, or the very fundamental atom of this gross creation, whatever scientists have discovered so far, they have gone even further down, even further atomic level than the electron, proton, and neutron, right? The Higgs and so many other the atom, the fundamental element discovered so far. Our guru says whatever element that scientists have discovered so far is still very gross compared to the fundamental atom of creation. The fundamental atom of creation is called Prakriti in the saintly word. It's called Prakriti, Mool Prakriti, the cosmic egg, the mool, the fundamental atom. That fundamental atom is something that only a yogi can perceive. There's a process to just go inside, go into that subtle level to connect your consciousness to that fundamental atom and perceive it. The gross eyes or any gadget, any instrument can never be able to enhance, that fundamental atom to the frequency which your eyes can see. So whatever atom that you spoke of, electron, proton, neutron, even further fundamental atom, those are not the atom that I'm talking about here. I'm talking about the fundamental atom, which is what is the ingredient for the chit as well. So chit is at that subtle level, which your microscope cannot even see. It's composed of that fundamental thing. Your microscope even cannot see that. But a yogi can, through the conscious eyes, can see that. Yeah.
Right. So we're saying the subtle body is composed of that fundamental atom, as well as the chit and everything except the mind, which is
right. Except the mind, yes.
Yes.
Got it right. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So in that case, that subtle body which you're speaking of, why can we not see it? Like when a person passes, so we're saying the subtle body is what is exiting or left after the gross body crumbles. Why can we not see that subtle body?
As we understand that though the Almighty has made this beautiful body with so many powers, but all these powers have limitations. For example, can it ever happen that a blind person can start visualizing the thing using his nose or ears or tongue or the skin palette? It will never happen, because each of these senses have its own frequency, its own boundaries to which it can sense. And just to come straight to that, the subtleness in which the subtle body exists, unless it envelop the layers of little grossness around it, you will not be able to perceive it. So there'll be a moment, there are times when people see some kind of abstract shape passing by. That could be possible only when there is certain layers of grossness enveloped around the subtleness. It's only then it will come into your visibility.
Right.
Otherwise, the subtle body is in a dimension, is in the subtleness that our eyes has no reach to.
Right. So in that subtle body then is where we're saying that the soul is also inside the subtle body, correct?
Not the cell that the body is composed of.
Yes.
Okay?
Yes.
Because cell itself is made of millions and billions of that fundamental atom. So even cell that you say is could be one the fundamental creation of within the body, but the cell by itself is very gross compared to the fundamental atom that I'm talking about.
Oh,
So
yes. So I think I might have said it a little unclearly. So I was mentioning the soul.
oh, the shell. Okay,
Yeah,
okay.
no, the soul. The soul.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So is the
So
soul inside the subtle body?
the soul is, yes, the soul is inside the subtle body. That's correct. So soul is so along with the 19 elements, the soul is the 20th element. It's not the 19 elements. So when we talk about subtle body, and the soul is having additional 19 elements
Mm-hmm.
to compose the subtle body. Yes.
Right.
So those 19 elements are different from the soul. Soul is a pure conscious entity, but those 19 elements are not the conscious entity. They are, except mind, they are made of the fundamental creation, the fundamental atom of creation called Prakriti.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, even though they are made of those Prakriti, as I said, the Prakriti itself is beyond the perception of eyes.
Mm-hmm.
It's only the yogi who can refine their consciousness to that subtleness can perceive that fundamental Prakriti. And so they can perceive what is chit, what is ahankar, what is buddhi, the intellect.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Right. Right. Sounds like a journey which is very unique. And so,
Yeah, absolutely. In fact, it motivates us. It inspires us, encourages us to just unfold those mysteries, which we have not understood that we have not been gifted only with the power of eyes, power of ear, power of tongue, but there's several events that happen in my life where I came to know that there exists certainly some other power within our body which can make us perceive something more than what our senses can give. And just to share you one instance, there was an event in when I was in Bangalore. One of our Vihangam Yoga colleague, follower, she was sitting in meditation, and you'll be surprised what happened. She was sitting in meditation, and suddenly something happened in meditation that whatever her husband was even thinking in the mind, that became audible to her. Whatever even her husband is thinking in the mind has become audible to her. Beyond that, she's sitting in a closed room in meditation. Now, wherever her husband is walking up to, she is as if experiencing every moment of it. She is knowing that where my husband is going, who he is sitting with, what he is talking to that person.
yeah.
While she is sitting at meditation room with closed eyes, she is able to experience everything. That means there exists something more within this beautiful creation, this human body, that has more power to experience something which our senses cannot.
Yes. Yes. And it's very striking because, we think of these things often as miracles, but
It's a science.
Exactly.
It's a science. It's absolutely a science. Yeah.
Yeah, like it's so difficult to ignore the fact that the yogis and the spiritual scientists have they don't speak of the miracles as much, but they are capable of such incredible, they have such incredible knowledge.
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah.
Just think about it, that in ancient time, when you read the Vedic scriptures and all, you will find mention about the how the world is created, how the things are created, what is the reason behind creation, how sitting in a closed cave a yogi can perceive the creation of the universe. How can they disclose about the astrology, astronomy, related stuff while sitting in the cave?
Mm.
Of course, there has to be some science. There has to be some process that happens while sitting in cave or in meditation, to be very specific, where you are exposed to certain dimension which you have never experienced while using just your senses.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's
Yeah.
very inspiring. It's very inspiring.
It
Yeah.
is. It really is. Like, I remember when I would read the stories of the saints and yogis as a child, I kind of similar to you, I would kind of feel this sense of adventure almost. Like,
Yes. Yeah.
yeah, like how is this stuff even possible? And then I would ask questions and we'd understand it's a science. And bringing it back to the mind for a moment. So we've understood that the mind is. So am I right in saying the mind then interacts with the brain, which then interacts with the rest of the body, and then things happen?
See, when you talk about whether the brain gets functional only when the mind interact with it, I will say no,
Mm.
because there are two powers given within our body which makes our body functional, every part of the body functional. These two powers are called mind and breath, the prana, mind and prana.
Yeah.
So the prana is what makes every organs of the body functional, active. So if you feel that your heart is beating all the time, whether your mind says beat or say mind says don't beat, it will not obey mind commandment, because there is something else which is responsible for the beating of the heart, and that is what is called breath,
Mm.
the prana. The breath that we say is not exactly the prana. Prana is something which is already within our body. It is through the breath that you just nourish your prana within the body. But the prana is pre-existing within your body. The 5 different prana. So one of the prana is also responsible for making your brain functional, making your heart functional. There are prana which are responsible for blood flow throughout the body. There are prana which is responsible for your digestive system to work properly. There are prana which is responsible for your excretion system to work properly. So everything is well organized in the body. So mind has not the role for brain to be functional, but mind has a role for brain to function in certain way. For example, if mind has to release a certain chemical or certain signals for certain things to happen, of course, the trigger, the signal is given by the mind and the soul, I would say. So it is see, any action, what is the root of the action? Root of the action is desire. Yeah. Only when you desire for certain thing, it is only then the whole body and soul and mind get into making it a reality in the form of action. So based on what thought generate in your mind, the brain also is influenced by that, and certain chemicals is released and certain signals are released, so that the body then act that way.
Yeah. Okay. That makes a lot of sense, actually. Yeah. Okay. So then I was just thinking of a question. I'm trying to recall. So the mind has confused me.
Absolutely, yeah. It's like defocusing. By the way, this is very beautiful. So this also says that your mind at a time can be attentive of only one thing.
Yes.
So you might be sticking to certain thought before, but then as you get diverted into some other conversation, your mind will lose the touch of that subject and will get attached to the other subject that you are having
Mm.
conversation of. That
Yes.
also says that mind is an entity which can attach to only one subject at one point of time.
Mm.
This is why we get confused sometimes. Oh, what was I thinking before? You also tend to lose the touch of it, and that's what's the fundamental reason why we forget things. Yeah.
Yes. Yes. Absolutely. Well, at least it's a good thing that I was focusing on what you were saying, right?
Yeah. Yes. Yes. That's a good thing. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I've actually got it now. So the question I had was, often the yogis and the saints speak about the man and pran being very close to one another. Like when we sit to meditate as well, the yogis
Right.
often say, do pranayam first, then, meditate. So why is that? Like, what is it about the man and pran that makes them so interrelated?
Right. Right. Forget about what yogi says. Just feel it for yourself.
Mm,
When we are very restless in our mind, you will find that with restlessness, even your heartbeat starts increasing, even your breath starts altering its pace, as if it's related. So it definitely is everybody's experience that more you get restless, the breathing pattern also changes accordingly.
mm,
The reason they are related is because, as we said, that these two are like brothers.
mm,
These two are the force responsible for your body to function certain way. So they work together, in the sense that the reason they work together is because the kind of desire you get in your mind, the breath is also responsible to respond to it accordingly. If you have the the moment you get very peaceful desire, the peace within you, something which is very soothing, some thought which is very soothing in nature, automatically your breath will also start getting calmer and calmer accordingly. The reason they are related, if we go very deep into it, in Vihangam Yoga journey, there are 5 different stages of meditation.
mm,
Out of that, when a yogi reaches to the third stage of Vihangam Yoga journey, that is the point when you happen to discover, as I said, there is a secret door in the body. There is a secret door out beyond these 9 doors. The 9 obvious doors are like 2 eyes, 2 ears, 2 nostrils, mouth, and 2 organs of excretions. So these are the 9 obvious opening. But there is a secret 10th door in the body.
mm,
And when reach to that point in Vihangam Yoga meditation, where you happen to open that secret 10th door by something called Kundalini awakening. There is an event called Kundalini awakening that happens in Vihangam Yoga journey.
mm,
When that happens, that is when you realize that the mind and breath, the mind and prana also come along with the consciousness and go outside, and then they are submerged into a source which is outside the body.
mm.
And you realize that they both have come or originated actually from a same source called something called Akshar Brahm, which is out of context of today's discussion, but just to understand that they are like brothers, that they originated from the same place, and that's how they are always related. So if you want to stabilize your breath, you can also just focus, and automatically your breath may start stabilizing. But if you're focusing on something which is stimulating in nature,
Mm.
and your mind is getting that stimulation, then your breath will start enhancing. Again, it will start pacing up. So they're related. If you start just focusing on your breath, calming it down, automatically the mind will also start calming down. But there's only subtle difference that unless you learn the art of directly controlling the mind,
Mm.
the experience of a complete control of mind is definitely not possible by just working upon your breath, because of course the breath and mind are two different things, even though they are related.
Right. So it's not like you can master your pranas and then by nature of that, you'll master your mind.
Yeah, so it's relatively you will feel better,
Mm.
but the in fact, in spiritual world, if one is a true spiritual seeker, then one will realize this subtleness, this very difference of what is called true control of mind and what is called the relaxation of mind. So
Right.
for people who are just seeking the relaxation of mind, temporary relaxation of mind, they may be happy with just working on the breath, because
Mm.
they'll just work upon breath and their job is done. They will feel that, well, by just doing this exercise, I'm getting the benefit of meditation that I want.
Mm.
But a true spiritual seeker demand more than that. And
Mm.
when you are that much evolved as a human being to discover something more subtle within you, which is closely related to what you are truly desiring. When you are so evolved from within to understand that whatever else I'm doing in my life, well, it is giving me satisfaction only to a certain level. But for some reason, I feel still a little, you know, incompleteness, not little, but a wholesome of incompleteness within me, a hollowness within me, which it's still not fulfilling by all what I'm doing. At that point of time, a yogi understand that, or from scripture they understand that that is achieved only, I mean, something very mysterious thing will get unfolded only when the mind comes to complete stillness. That is when you will understand this difference. What is the difference between the relaxation of mind and what happens when the mind comes to complete stillness? Because then a magical things happen in
Right. Right.
life.
That's a very important distinction, definitely, because in the kind of in the modern world, we definitely see like there's, I remember I was speaking to a very experienced disciple when I first began my own personal journey on understanding these concepts, and he said, in Vihangam Yoga, we don't speak of stress management; we talk about destruction of stress because we find the source of it and we destroy it. We don't manage it. We go a little
Yes,
deeper.
absolutely.
Yeah,
Absolutely. Absolutely. Very, very nicely said. Yes.
yeah, definitely reminds me of that what you were just saying, and yeah, like let's continue this journey, the science of Sadhguru Siddhartha Maharaj, Vihangam Yoga, on this global forum. So just let everyone, and let's reconnect again.